Hi everybody, it's Erin and welcome back to the Love You Mean It podcast YouTube channel, or more like welcome to it. We are so excited to have started this YouTube channel for you guys. This is something that's kind of been in the back of our minds for quite some time. If you guys didn't know, I'm obviously one of the hosts for the Love You Mean It podcast. My name is Erin and I'm without my co-host Meg today just because I wanted to do a quick intro to this YouTube video that you guys are about to watch. We have been thinking about doing this YouTube channel for a while, like we said. We initially started the podcast solely my co-host and I, and we started the podcast, like I said, just the two of us, and we never really thought to record it. But kind of thinking back, and after polling the audience over on our Instagram at Love You Mean It Podcast, go check it out and follow. But kind of after thinking back, I really love watching other podcasts. I kind of prefer watching the podcast to listening to it, which I guess kind of defeats the point. But I really like to watch podcasts rather than just solely to listen to them. And so I figured I'm sure a lot of people would like that option as well. And so it makes it really easy, especially now that we're recording with so many different amazing guests. Specifically, today's episode is Katy Bellotte. It makes a lot of sense that when we do these Zoom recordings, like I'm recording on Zoom right now, it automatically records the video for the call. And so why not upload it for you guys as well? We didn't really know that we were going to be recording the video before we recorded this episode, so in the future we'll probably even look better, but we're so excited to start posting every single week when we have a guest and be posting the Zoom call to this YouTube channel. So definitely feel free to subscribe, like this video, and share with your friends. And you can come back every single day that we upload a podcast. We upload every single week at Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and occasionally on Thursdays at the same time. But I don't really know how it's going to work if we do a call just the two of us, because on Thursdays we do bonus episodes where we don't have a guest and it's just the two of us. So I think we'll kind of work around that. Maybe I'll record on my phone and then just overlay the audio. But yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. We loved having Katy on and it was so much fun. And this was definitely quite the long episode, but like I said, we didn't know that we were going to be uploading the video portion yet. So the intro to this episode, where we do the segment, which is everybody's favorite segment, where we talk about what we're loving and hating this week, that is going to be audio only, and so we're just going to overlay a picture for that. However, for the future, hopefully we'll try and find some way to record the intro as well. I don't know, we'll figure it out, but we're really excited to have Katy on the podcast and we really hope you enjoy. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Hi everybody, it's Erin
and Meg,
and welcome back to this week's episode of the Love You Mean It podcast.
If you're new here, welcome. We've been seeing a lot of new growth and we're very excited to expand the Love You Mean It fam.
Yeah, we're so excited that we've been getting so many new followers, listeners, and so many more people engaging with our content. If you are new here and you don't really know a lot about this podcast, welcome. Like Meg said, we are two girls in our 20s. We're just figuring it all out. Our podcast is all about some lighter topics, from dating, relationships, to kind of more serious topics like mental health. And I don't know, we're just really here to start conversations and to just really make a family with everybody here, and we're really excited.
Yeah, so for this week's episode, we were so beyond fortunate to have Katy Bellotte come on. If you guys don't know who she is first and foremost a YouTuber. She has been on YouTube for a decade?
I was gonna say, I think a decade at this point.
Yeah, so she's been there for a while. Her vlogs and stuff are great if you want to check those out. She's also a graphic designer. She's an influencer.
She just wears so many hats. She does so many things. She kind of spilled some tea about products that she wants to create in the future with us that she's never even really talked about before. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and she's just talking to us about how she stays inspired, especially during COVID, and how it affected her business and just all that good stuff. So we're going to get into that with her, but right before we do, we're going to do our segment.
So we have a segment every single week because our podcast is called the Love You Mean It podcast. And so every single week we talk about what we're loving. And recently we also started talking about what we're hating. And so as always, Meg's going to go first.
But before we get into it, we just wanted to shout out Camila from the My Point of View podcast. She's one of our homies, and I love being in this podcasting community. Everyone is so nice and welcoming and just ready to support other podcasters, which I absolutely love. But she recently shouted us out in her Friday faves that she does every Friday. She posts a bunch of different podcasts and like specific episodes that she recommends. If you guys like seeing recommendations, I highly recommend following My Point of View podcast. Also, her content is great in itself. She pointed out that she actually really likes this segment where we're talking about what we're loving and what we're hating. And
I thought that was so cute.
That was so nice because we weren't really sure about the hating aspect, but I'm glad it's being received positively. I think that's something that like we really wanted. So to get some good feedback is always a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was really cool because, I mean, if you are new here, you wouldn't know, but the podcast used to solely only be Meg and I, but we've recently started interviewing a bunch of really cool people, and we still wanted to kind of still implement that aspect of Meg and I because that's what people really came here for in the beginning. And so that's when we added like this 10-minute segment before every interview where we just kind of like catch up with you guys. So it was really cool to have someone say that was their favorite part. I was like, wow, okay.
No, I know. So thank you to Camila. Go ahead and follow her Instagram and also check out her podcast. If you like this podcast, you'll definitely like her podcast.
We'll leave all her links in the show notes down below.
But we're going to get started. So what I'm hating this week is produce that goes bad. Specifically lettuce. I've been having this I have beef with lettuce right now.
I was gonna say there's like some kind of tension in the apartment between Meg and just lettuce in general.
Yeah, so like I feel like I buy bags of lettuce, to make salads either like as a meal or as a side for my dinners, and I feel like I never use it quick enough. I feel like it just goes bad like the next day. And I check the dates and everything like when I buy it, and like I still feel like I always get lettuce that's like turning that pinky purple color that when it's bad. And I'm just like so annoyed because I hate spending money on stuff and then having to throw it out. I hate wasting food. So I don't know. And also like I feel like recently I haven't been able to like digest salad recently. Like I've been having some stomach issues when I have it. So that's also kind of annoying. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a stupid thing, but it's just been on my mind recently.
I mean, I didn't even know that until we looked it up because Meg had eaten a salad, and then we looked it up, and it was like a lot of people get stomach issues with salads, which I thought was kind of shocking.
By stomach issues, I mean diarrhea.
Yeah, we're trying to be, I mean,
TMI, but
I was going to say, like, I mean, I guess that's not really TMI because, like, whatever, we talk about a lot on here, but yeah. I just felt so bad. She was literally on the toilet, guys, for, like, hours.
Yeah, I was, like, unwell.
But like, it's not even like it was, like, a salad, like, from a rando place. Like, it was literally Trader Joe's.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know. I just haven't been able to have it, and it's sad because I love salad, especially, like, in the summer. That's, like, my shit.
And especially because I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but we both love the salad from, I mean, I don't think this one has given you the issues yet.
No,
but
the chopped salads don't.
The Buffalo Ranch chopped salad, you guys have to run, not walk, and go get it because it's so good.
Yeah, so that one we definitely recommend. But something I also want to point out is bananas. Like,
really?
I love bananas. Oh no, I'm not mad at them. They don't give me diarrhea. What I don't like is I feel like they just go bad also really quickly. And I feel like I'll like buy like a bushel of bananas.
I think it's a bushel, a bunch. Yeah,
I'll say a bunch of bananas. I have like one or two or something, and then a couple days later, they're not like really good enough to eat anymore. So then I'm like, oh, I have to buy new bananas.
I know.
There's like that meme that's like, oh, it's that time of the week where I have to go replace the bananas that have been rotting on my counter. I was like,
yeah,
that's actually me. But a cool tip is that if you do have like really overly ripe bananas, you can make banana bread with them. And the darker they are, the better the banana bread will taste. So
I kind of wish I saved my bananas because I had two, but I threw them out because we're really prone in our apartment to getting fruit flies. This bunch of bananas actually lasted me a while. I think last Thursday, Meg and I went to Target, and I didn't want to do like a full grocery shop, so I got just like a bunch. And there was like 7 of them. And I did have to throw out 2, which is really upsetting. But I did eat 5. It's been just a week. Like, yeah, it's been a week. So it's like they lasted me a pretty decent time. But I lifted up 2 of them and a little one flew out, like a little gnat, And I was like, that's when it's like past due.
Yeah. And like it's also good too. Like obviously you don't want there to be bugs. So like if you check and there aren't any bugs, you can peel the banana peel off and then stick them in a little Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer, and you can use them for like smoothies or anything like that. And it's a great way to repurpose your bananas.
That is a good tip.
But unfortunately, you can't do that with salad. So that's why I'm beefing with salad right now. Also, speaking of bananas, yesterday, Erin and I were sitting at the kitchen table, and we were like, we always do this thing like where we talk about like our ick factors. and that's basically just like something that someone does that makes your whole body like cringe. It was like bitchy but kind of funny.
It wasn't even
like,
bitchy, it was honest.
It was funny though. I was like, my ick factor is listening to you eating that banana right now.
No, but then guys, I got so self-conscious, and then I went over, I mean, hopefully we'll do like an apartment tour on IGTV soon or something, but like I went into the hallway, which is like really far away, and I was like, I'm just gonna eat my banana from over here now. And like, I know Meg was like, I'm sorry, I sounded so bitchy, and I was like, it was not bitchy, like it was honest. Like now I'm so like self-conscious, you know?
I don't know, I just feel like bananas are just a weird thing to eat. Like,
yeah,
they're just, I love them so much, but like they're just weird to eat around other people. And this is a fun little fact. One of my friends, like, she went to University of New Hampshire, and she actually made like a Finsta, and it was called UNH Banana Eaters. And she would just take pictures of people that she saw around campus eating bananas. And it's actually so funny. So if you guys like want to laugh, I think it's probably old. I don't think she posts on it anymore, but like I don't think it's private. So I think you can look at it.
Funny.
But it's like really funny. So if you guys want to laugh, go ahead and do that.
Well, now that we got that out of the way, what I'm hating this week is Hurricane Laura. So, I mean, we don't really have any listeners.
Louisianians?
Connecticutians.
Ew, stop.
We're from Connecticut, if you guys didn't know. We don't have many listeners in Louisiana, but just because we don't have any listeners in there doesn't mean that like we don't care about the people of Louisiana. We feel so awful and like horrible. So if you guys have any links for just like donation places that we can share for our followers maybe, so that if other people see it, they can donate to it, because it was just so sad seeing all the pictures and everything. If you guys didn't know, it was category 5, right?
I think it was a 4.
Okay, yeah, it was.
But that's still really bad.
It was category 4, and it pretty much slammed into like all of Louisiana. And I know it was just really sad seeing all the pictures and everything. And I don't know if you guys can relate, but as we just said, we're from Connecticut, and yes, like the day we're recording this is Friday, but yesterday, it was Thursday, and we recorded the interview with Katy, right? And then we hung up the call, and we were like, so nice to meet you, blah blah blah. And then we went to record this intro, and all of a sudden the sky turned black, the wind was whipping, and it was like literally hailing, and Meg's boyfriend was like, get away from the windows, there's gonna be a tornado. And I was like, what? And so, I mean, I didn't really see that coming, and it was really scary for like 30 minutes that I was like, do we have to go to the basement? Like, I'm worried about our cars out front. And it was just really scary, like that happening. And that only lasted 30 minutes. And it was just like your average storm. Like, it just makes me feel really bad for all the people of Louisiana. So if you're listening and you were affected, we're here for you. We're thinking of you, and we hope that things get better soon.
Yeah, so on a more positive note, let's get into what we're loving this week. As you guys all know, I think you know what I'm going to say. I think you do.
I think you know.
I think if you saw the Instagram stories that we did earlier in the week, you'll know what I'm talking about. But what I'm loving this week is the pumpkin cream cold brew from Starbucks. Oh wow. My God,
I have fireworks going off in my head right now.
Literally, first of all, it blows the Dunkin' one out of the freaking water.
I know. Like, the Dunkin' one is good. We talked about that last week, but it's just not the same.
It's not the same. So if you don't know what it is, it's basically just like their classic cold brew, and then they put like this cold, like creamy pumpkin flavored foam on top of it. So it's almost like a cold cappuccino, how I would describe it.
I would say that.
But it's just so good. Like, I don't even know what they put in that foam, but it's like addicting, and I just want it all the time. But I actually tweaked it a little bit. So here's Brilliant. A tip. If you order on the app, you can customize the shit out of your drinks, which is what I do. But what's also great is, especially for right now, you can pay online. So it's like no contact ordering, which is great. It's healthy for you and your baristas. But so I'm going to tell you guys what I did to tweak mine. So I think I got a venti.
Yeah.
And I got extra foam, which is an option. You just kind of have to look for it. Like, it'll say like all the things that come on the drink, and then like if you tap on that, you can say like extra, regular, so you can like customize like the amount of something that you want in your drink, which I think is awesome. And then I also added 2 pumps of pumpkin sauce.
Yes.
Which I'm not sure what that is, but like it literally
sign me up though.
Transformed the drink, and you have to get it. So just keep everything the same as normal, but then just add extra foam and 2 pumps of pumpkin sauce, and it will literally transcend your taste buds.
It was truly incredible. Like, you guys just don't get it. The Dunkin' pumpkin anything is still really good.
Yeah.
But it's just like the creamy consistency almost of their pumpkin. Just their pumpkin, the pumpkin in general from Starbucks is just out of this world.
Yeah, so if you haven't gone to go get it, I don't really know what you're doing, but I think you should go get it. Also, like, the PSL is pretty good, but like the pumpkin cream cold brew is just like its own thing. So
yeah, definitely go get it and post a picture to your Instagram story, and please tag us because we want to see it, because then maybe I'll see it and I can convince Meg to go with me every day.
I mean, like, I said this last year, it was like one of Erin's like YouTube videos that she did, but I was like, I think I'm gonna budget like money so that I can go every single day.
Oh, it was so funny, guys. She was like, so I'm gonna budget $10 a day so that I can go twice a day and get a pumpkin cream cold brew, and the sentiment still stands.
Yeah, it's still there. It didn't change. It didn't let me down, like so many other things in 2020.
Yeah,
that's pretty much all I have left is the pumpkin cream cold brew. So
100%.
Just go get it.
Yeah. No, also speaking of my YouTube channel, I mean, Meg said she would come on, but I don't know if it still rings true. It could just be me, but she's nodding her head, so I think yes. But we are hoping to do a video soon all about how to start your own podcast. And so if any of you guys are listening and are just interested in podcasts, I mean, even before I had one, I was always interested in the business side. So if you're interested in how to start one, how we distribute, how we make money, all of that, definitely go look up. Like, I think it's just youtube.com/Erin Sullivan, ErinSullivan. Me having to think. I'm like,
yeah.
How do you spell? But I've been posting a lot. Even today that we're recording this, I'm vlogging. So I'm doing the behind the scenes almost. So definitely go check it out. But what I'm loving this week is Gorangosa Coffee. If you guys didn't know, they're a coffee brand that is probably just like the best coffee brand ever, just because of what they stand for. They basically have all these different blends. They have one where 100% of the money goes to girls' education. Another one's for wildlife conservation. And what's the other one for?
It's for reforestation.
Yes. And so it's just so great, especially just to support a brand like that. And they actually sent over free coffee and stickers, and it was so sweet. And I'm definitely going to be buying. They also have like the K-cup version, and I'm definitely going to be buying that once we're out of the ground coffee that they gave us. But it was so good, and Meg and I are huge coffee lovers, as you guys know.
The thing that's so great about this brand too is that it's from Mozambique, and it's from the Gorangosa National Park. And what's so great is that it's local farmers, so it's like direct commerce, and you're helping local people. It's also sustainably grown. Like, I think it's really cool what they do. So basically, they leave extra room in between their rows of coffee plants. And then for every bag that's sold, I'm pretty sure they plant a sapling so that they can regrow the rainforest that has been so destroyed by dickheads like us.
Yeah.
So I think that's really great that they're doing that. I think I've never heard of a company that gives 100% of the profits.
Like
to a specific
100%.
cause.
Like, I don't even think I even realized, like, when we got the coffee, like 100%. It's just incredible.
Yeah, so definitely check out their brand. They have really good stuff, and yeah, I'm excited to see like what they come out with and how they grow.
Yeah, exactly. We posted a picture to the Instagram feed as well, so definitely go check that out. But I just wanted to also say that obviously we are not being paid to say this. This is not sponsored. As we've said in the past, we will 100% let you know if we're being paid for any of our opinions or to review anything. But before we get into the episode, we want to do a little bit of housekeeping.
Just wanted to once again shout out the Instagram at Love You Mean It Podcast. We try to post every day. If you guys want to have us post anything on there, if you see any good infographics about anything that we can share, please DM us or tag us in something. That would be great. We also completed our first giveaway this week.
So exciting.
The winner was Ricky, and we were so excited to send him over his gift card. But if you guys liked the giveaway that we did and you have any suggestions for a giveaway that we should do in the future, please let us know. We're trying to brainstorm ideas.
I know a few people said that they would be interested in a merch giveaway. So kind of leading off into that, obviously you guys know we have our Redbubble shop where Meg hand designs all these incredible things and you can purchase them. And so of course, like always, we're going to be leaving the link in the description box down below and you can purchase merch. But I know a lot of people on the Instagram said that they would be interested in receiving merch in a giveaway. So if you guys would be as well, definitely let us know. Also, as you guys know, we have the show notes down below and we have the link to support our podcast. We by no means expect any of you guys to be supporting our podcast, but you can donate as little as 99 cents per month and it just helps us to do further giveaways in the future and to make the show even better than it already is. Like we said, we don't expect anybody to be donating to the show, but we would also really appreciate it, and it means a lot.
And don't forget to give us a shout out on Apple Podcasts. You can rate and review us. There's a link in our bio now for that, so you can be directed to where you would leave a review. And also, I recently added a link to the iHeartRadio streaming platform.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that.
Which we were accepted to. We're very excited about that. So you can find us on iHeartRadio. And also, I left a link where you can donate to Black Lives Matter. So if you want to check that out, absolutely go ahead. But without further ado, I think we're just going to get into this episode with Katy.
Yeah, I think we've done enough chatting, and we'll be right back with Katy.
Hi, everybody. We are back with Katy Bellotte, and she's just going to tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi guys, so my name is Katy Bellotte. I'm an LA-based, recently LA, I was in New York for a little while, but now I'm Los Angeles-based graphic designer, calligrapher, creator of many things. I have a YouTube channel, a podcast, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's a little about me.
That was perfect.
Good, my elevator pitch.
Wow, I was like, you really got that down.
Yeah. How did you get started on the social media scene?
Yeah, so I was 14 years old in 2009 on YouTube. And I don't know what provoked me to make a YouTube channel, but I somehow was like, I have things to share on YouTube. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm happy I did it. So I started posting weekly videos when I was 14 in 2009. And from there, my YouTube channel grew and I started, getting into other platforms. I'm now on Instagram, YouTube, the podcast space, everywhere, but it all started with YouTube in 2009.
So crazy. I know. I feel like that's how like a lot of people these days, like that's how it starts off, where it's like YouTube and then like growing into like other different things. What's your favorite platform that you've grown into now?
My favorite platform? That's a great question. I think my podcast is like my baby right now. So I put a lot of love into the podcast. It's also my newest thing, besides Patreon, which is its whole other thing. But I would say my favorite is probably my podcast right now. But that's just because it's like fresh and new or new enough. It's been like a year and a half, but like, it's definitely my favorite right now.
So speaking of your podcast, what I love about Thick and Thin is the fact that like you don't have guests on. I think no, it's true. It's like such a unique thing because like sometimes with other podcasts, I'm like, oh, I don't really know who this person is, or like, oh, I'm not really interested in that, so I won't listen. But with yours, like I can literally listen to every single episode because I know it's just you. I'm coming there for you.
Oh, that's so sweet. I get kind of insecure about my model sometimes. I'm like, I probably should have other people because like, what do I have to offer like every week, But I'm glad you say that.
Why did you choose that format? Like what made you want to do that?
I mean, honestly, at first it was kind of like laziness. I'm not going to lie, because you guys know this, it takes a lot of effort to like get guests in and slated and the times and making, all of that interview space and time and everything. And when I started the podcast, I was still at my corporate job at L'Oreal in New York. So I was working 9 to 5, which is never 9 to 5. It was like 8 to 7, 8 to 6. And then I get home and be exhausted and sometimes not even able to podcast on the day that I was supposed to. Like just physically couldn't do it. So I was just like, I need a model where if I'm going to keep this up and like be sustainable with the podcast, I need to have a model that I can do and not feel like I'm breaking my back over. So I just decided to make it kind of like a spoken diary sort of thing. And it's been working. I think what helps is that I'm like talking about history and like bringing in other people's stories. Cause then at least I'm not just talking about myself for 45 minutes, but yeah, it started from laziness and it just has continued even after I'm not at my corporate job anymore. So
yeah, I mean, like we totally get that. I mean, we didn't even start doing guests until like a month ago. And so like we've had our podcast for like 8 months at this point. And so like the first part of it was all just like me and her talking. And so, I mean, like I totally get having to like coordinate and everything. And it definitely like an added level and like another layer to everything.
Yeah, it's a lot more work than people think.
Yeah,
for sure.
But like in my eyes too, I feel like kind of the way that you have like you talk about like a certain historical figure almost like adds as a guest, because like you have so much to say about that figure.
Exactly. That's what I think too. That's what I was like hoping. So I'm happy that translates.
Like, how did you come up with that idea to like?
That's a good question. I honestly think I have a love for history. I've always loved history and just stories and storytelling. And I found also that my favorite type of podcast to listen to are story podcasts or like true crime or, things where I feel like it's not just someone always just talking about like what they ate for breakfast, but like about something from history I didn't know anything about. And like, I've always just been super interested in that. And so I think it was probably like, it wasn't like the first episode I started doing this. It like really sunk in after like probably 10 episodes. And I was just stumbling across things. I love Reddit. The Today I Learned Reddit is the coolest Reddit. It's like you just stumble into things that you didn't even know about. It's like literally Today I Learned. So it's like stuff that you would never know about. And I stumbled across, I believe, like, I don't remember who it was, but one of the stories that I ended up telling, I stumbled across on there. And then I was like, wow, people really like this. I should keep doing it. So it really wasn't like, I'm going to make a history podcast because I'm not a historian. I never studied history. Like I did the usual classes everyone does, but I don't ever say like, I am a historian, I know everything. It's really just like, I feel some people's stories need to be told and haven't been. So I'm going to do it.
I mean, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I know you just said that you like true crime and story podcasts. Do you have a specific like favorite podcast at the moment?
Ooh, that's a good question. So my favorite like storytelling type podcast is Crime Junkies. I love Crime Junkies. They're like huge now. When I started listening to them, they were smaller, but whatever. I love their episodes. And then also, this isn't like a storytelling one, but it's called Ologies. And if you just like have random fascinations with like, I mean, it's literally what it sounds like. It's like she talks about various different like phobias and like, just concepts that I knew nothing about, like just why, like kind of like why is the sky blue, like things like that. And I love that stuff. So that's another one that I love right now.
I've heard of Crime Junkies. Yeah. I've never heard of the other one.
Yeah, no, it's good. You guys should listen to it.
No, for sure. Like I have like a list on my phone of just like all the stuff that people recommend to me. And like, then I have another one that's just like specific episodes that I have to listen to. So I will add that to the list.
Good.
Kind of transitioning a little bit. What was your job like at L'Oreal and like, do you miss working there?
Yeah, well, I had a dream job. Like I look back and I don't have any like ill words to say. I really did love my job at L'Oreal. I was in social and digital for a makeup brand. So I just felt like every day was really fun. And I was, it was products that I was like passionate about. And I mean, the job there, I think my one gripe with it was just corporate life just isn't for me. It's very structured. I'm not structured at all as a person. Like besides my like random to-do lists that are like on the back of like a sticky note, I don't like structure. I don't thrive with like, having hard deadlines and like, you need to do this every single week. And like, it was just like not good for me. And I found that, the freelancers I was talking to, their lives looked a lot more like what I wanted. And although with freelance, I mean, there's pros and cons, of course. The pros to a corporate job is the stability and the steady income and knowing how much you're going to get in your paycheck every 2 weeks. Whereas freelance, it's really up in the air. Like sometimes I have really good months or not so good months. And so it's definitely been a little trade-off there in terms of stability, but I enjoy being my own boss. And as much as I do love my coworkers at L'Oreal and like how it was, I just saw a few things from my life missing or just things I just wasn't fully happy with. And I somehow found the courage to quit, which was a lot. It took a lot of my energy. I was like freaking out about it for a week, but then after it just felt so right. So.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like it's like every like creative person's dream is like to work for yourself. Would you say that was like the hardest part about working for like making the transition to freelancing was like kind of breaking the news, or were you like nervous about like possibly like losing relatability, quote unquote?
Oh, all those things, all of the above. Part of me was like, my whole thing is like, oh, Katy's a real girl. Like she has a real job and does YouTube. But then you realize after, and I mean, of course, I am the person. So like it's different in my shoes versus other people's shoes. But you got to think like there is a shortage of people on YouTube that have real jobs.
Yeah.
And there is a reason for that. It takes a lot of time and energy to make YouTube videos and to post these things. And so having both, it's very hard to strike a balance. And like, I remember when I quit and I posted a video about it, there was a comment that was like, what's with this trend of YouTubers quitting their full-time jobs? I'm like, it's not a trend. It's literally, we are overwhelmed and exhausted. It's a lifestyle choice that we're thankfully making despite the feedback from you guys. I mean, of course, like, I don't know. I think I've done like a semi good job at like staying relatable still because I have my own business, which honestly anyone could kind of do, I guess, in theory. But I definitely considered that. And I definitely also, to what you said, was like, you know, kind of nervous about breaking the news to everybody because I just felt like it was kind of me letting people down. But, you know, I had to be a little selfish because I was like literally not sleeping. So
Yeah, I mean, like in that instance, like you have to do what's best for you. Like,
yeah.
what was the hardest part about like the actual transition from 9 to 5 to freelance? Like, was there anything really hard about that?
Yeah, I think, you know, the guilt that I felt sometimes was hard for me to get over. The guilt, as in, like, you know, if I wasn't awake at 8 a.m. and working right away, I would think, like, oh, like, you know, I'm sorry, we have a truck going by.
No, you're good.
Okay. I feel like I live in New York again, like on this street that I moved to. It's like, sorry, there's a taxi. Anyway, the guilt was definitely the biggest thing, though, because I feel that, you know, my structure for how I work best doesn't look the same as my friends. And, you know, my friends that have corporate jobs, like I wake up at 9. I don't wake up any earlier than that. I don't need to. And I work until like 7 or 8 sometimes, but it's like fluctuates. And then sometimes I'll get on my email at 9 p.m. or like at 10 and, you know, I'll be emailing people. It's just like my structure and work looks different. And I feel like it took me a little while to realize that that's okay. And I shouldn't feel extreme guilt for not, you know, waking up and swinging right into gear at 7 a.m., you know, like you, as long as you get the work done and you do enough that satisfies you and makes you money, like there shouldn't be a pressure to start work at 7. I don't know. That was something that was hard for me to get used to.
So, like, I know you said that you really like being your own boss. Like, what's your favorite part about being a freelancer besides being your own boss?
Well, my favorite part, I guess, just like being able to choose between, you know, because I get a lot of inquiries from people, you know, emailing me, DMing me saying like, I need calligraphy for this, or like, I want you to make me a logo, whatever, or things like that. And being able to choose projects and not just have to do whatever my boss tells me to do. And also I feel like sometimes, especially when you're on a lower rung of the ladder in the corporate world, you're doing all the things no one else wants to do. So it's like nothing extremely fun creatively. It's like the administrative work or like the bookkeeping stuff. And it's not necessarily like getting your hands dirty doing the projects. And I remember like at my corporate job, someone saying to me like, oh, well, you know, as like, you know, in like 5 or 10 years, like maybe you'll be at a point where you can do this. And I'm like, what? I want to do that now. Like, why do I have to wait all that time? And so being able to just kind of have the freedom to choose projects and do things that maybe I'm not even quote ready for corporate wise, it's really nice, you know, being my own boss in that sense, because of course there's like, you know, pros and cons. It was nice to have coworkers to help me with things. Now I'm just kind of like on my own, but there's a lot of freedom that I didn't have before.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's appealing. I mean, it's like, especially for me, I feel like in the back of my head, I would like to do freelance one day, or like to go freelance and like to not have to do a 9 to 5. Like, what advice would you have for like somebody like me or somebody in general that's looking to do like freelance in the future?
Yeah, I definitely, I always need to note that like my situation's a little different because I had the YouTube channel to fall back on, or like I had other stuff. Like I do need to say that because I feel like people are like, Katy, you don't count. Like it doesn't work like that. But I will say, I think people assume that YouTubers and like people with podcasts or whatever, like make a lot more money than they do. And like a lot of it's taxed anyway. So like it was a big risk for me to leave my job and go freelance, but I did do 2 things that I tell everybody. If you are like gearing up to go freelance or really want to take the leap, like make sure 2 things are in place. Number 1, financially, make sure you have a cushion. Make sure you have savings. Like, I feel like it's a really glamorous, sexy idea to just quit your job and have no savings, but like, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, that is just what I will say.
No.
Make sure you have a cushion. Make sure you have at least 6 months rent, enough money to support yourself through at least like 7 or 8 months, probably, I'd say. That's what I did. And number 2, make sure you have jobs lined up. Like, make sure if you are quitting your job, you have at least like 2 or 3 clients on retainer, long-term people that will need your services, and you have it in writing that they will. Because I think the tendency is to quit and be like, oh gosh, like, I'll get clients now, but like, what if they don't come for 6 months and you don't have any income for 6? You need to like just think of all those things, but also, you don't have to have it all figured out. Like, I would say that a lot of the things that I do now, I didn't know I would be doing when I quit my job. And it does kind of evolve, and you have to trust yourself and the timing and the process, but make sure you have the financial cushion and make sure you have a couple clients lined up. That's what I would say.
Perfect advice.
Yeah, no,
Good.
you're not just like, oh, screw it, like, just do it.
Just go for
yeah,
it.
just follow your dreams. Like, no.
No.
It's a glamorous idea, but in practice, it's probably not the best.
Yeah.
So I know you kind of talked about like how you wake up like at 9 and then you can kind of like finish at like 7 or 8. Like, what like does a typical day in your life look like now that you're in LA? And like, how do you structure your time? Like, do you time batch? Do you just kind of do like stream of consciousness? Like, what's the sitch?
Well, I do. So I wake up my alarm goes off at 8:30, and I lay in bed for 30 minutes, just like laying there for 30 minutes before getting out of bed. I don't rush myself. So I get out of bed at 9, and I don't start working, like full on working, until 10. So I'll like, drink coffee, clean up my room. I need to make sure my desk is clean. It's now a mess because I've been like podcasting all morning, but like, I need to make sure I have like a clean enough workspace that I can like think. So I do all that before 10. So I have actually these really awesome like paper planners. I'm like showing you right now, but whoever's listening can't see this, but it's basically like a paper calendar for each of my weeks. And I don't like love these ones. I'm actually in the process of designing my own that I'm going to sell, because I just find that every paper planner, I'm very big on pen and paper, like for remembering things. So everyone that I've seen so far just like is so lacking. So I'm making my own, of course, but, yeah, I'm big on, mapping out my day via bullets and doing whatever I don't want to do first. So the first thing I do is the least appealing activity of the day. Like, whatever I don't want to do or I've been putting off, I do it first, because I find that I just spend my whole day dreading that one thing if I don't do it first. So if it's like one, client invoice or something that I'm just like not thrilled about doing, I do it first. So I drink my coffee while I do that thing or whatever those things are. And then as I go, I just like have a bunch of other things. I never give myself more than like 4 tasks a day, because I find that I just like get overwhelmed and like can't do any of it if I give myself more than that. So, it could be anywhere from like, designing a logo or invoicing, balancing my checkbook, like just like little things like that. And every day looks different. Today is my podcasting morning, so I haven't done any client work this morning. I just finished up the podcast and put it out, so it goes live this afternoon. And, it also kind of varies with like my video filming weeks. Like, I don't upload a video every week. So every week, every day looks different. But for the most part, I really operate on like a bullet on my paper calendar kind of situation. That's what I do.
I like it. I think it's so refreshing, because a lot of people like rely so heavily on technology to like do stuff, but I love that you're always like writing stuff down. You always have like little notes scribbled, and like, I just think that's so cute.
I mean, it's like a cool thing. It's like glamorous, I guess. And I'm also like, I forget to do stuff. So it's just like a trial and error. Like, my manager wants to kill me half the time, because she's like, Katy, like, why are you not on your phone? Like, I'll go hours without checking my phone, and like things happen and I don't know that they're happening. But you got to just go with whatever works for your creative process, and not overwhelm yourself with technology and things that aren't necessarily necessary.
Exactly. So somebody, like, we're gonna get into listener questions later on, but like,
okay,
we had like a question that someone also kind of asked, but it was kind of like, during this time, a lot of people are dealing with lack of motivation, like just like not feeling productive. Like, how do you kind of like spark that like need to be productive in yourself? Like,
Right.
when you stay busy, I guess.
Yeah. It's a tough time because I feel, people keep saying like we need to find the new normal and all this stuff. And like nothing about what we're going through right now is normal. This is going to be something in history that we're going to look back on and talk to our kids about and have to say, like, this was a time where I wasn't my most productive self. Like, I wasn't, sorry, the cat in the background. I wasn't, at my best. I know she just pops in. She's like, "Ooh, you're talking about something I'm gonna, take you out of your focus." So yeah, but I would just say, like, honestly, before I even get into like what makes me productive, like, just know that it's okay if you aren't at your best right now, because we are living through an international crisis. Okay. Something that not a single person in this world is unaffected by. Everyone is affected by what we're going through right now, not only with the virus, but with like socially what's going on. And everyone is just not, thinking about their work at the forefront of their mind all the time. And that's okay. And I think once I kind of realized that and grasped that, also knowing that everyone's going through it, even if they are really good at hiding that they're going through a hard time or just are kind of distracted. Like, I feel like the tendency on social media is for everyone to say, look at how productive I am. And so you think, oh my God, I'm like really not, missing the mark here. That's not true. People have a really great way of, showing that they're doing a lot when they are secretly struggling. So that's what I keep in mind. But in terms of just finding inspiration, I feel like, things like that, it's kind of hard right now to find a lot of motivation and inspiration, especially when we're in our houses a lot of the time. I think for me, I mean, it's pretty clear from my podcast that I love history and I research history a lot. And I find that, reading about people that had it a lot worse really does help. People that were growing up in times where women had no rights and, there were other issues going on in the world. It really does kind of sober me up and make me realize, like, oh gosh, like, it could be worse. So it does make you feel a little bit better and more motivated to, exist in this time when it is hard. But I think in terms of getting inspiration, I've been reading a lot of books. I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts, watching a lot of other YouTubers, and giving myself time to do that. And honestly, factoring it into my day, periods of time where I'm not working, I'm just watching, listening, reading, soaking things up, and not feeling guilty about that time because it's research, So that's what I would say.
Perfect. So speaking of like unprecedented times, like you did something that like I think is so cool. Like, you moved cross country. Like, for those of you that don't know, like, well, Katy kind of talked about it, but she moved from New York to LA, which, like, first of all, we were shocked about.
Oh my God.
I remember like we like texted each other and she was like, did Katy move to LA? And I was like, apparently, like, I thought you would just move like across town or something, or like, I don't even know what I thought. But you were like, yeah, I moved to LA, and like so casual. And I just admire that so much and think it's such a great change. Like, what was the most difficult part about moving though for you?
Well, it was a lot. There's a lot of logistical things that when you decide, you're like, oh, I'm going to move across the country. You don't think about a lot of stuff that comes along with that. That's like really tedious and like really annoying. So, of course, the moving of all the stuff. I ended up selling a lot of stuff before I left New York and giving a lot away to my friends that are still out there, just because I actually purchased a lot of the things for my apartment because of how little space I had. Whereas here, if you can see in your Zoom, like, my room is the size of my whole apartment. So I have a lot more options for space. So I ended up just selling a lot of stuff because I can get bigger things now. So I'm like, ooh, this is fun. I can like purchase new things. So I sold a lot of stuff on Facebook Marketplace, my favorite thing. And I ended up just, of course, shipping a lot of like clothes and like things that I can't live without, all of my dresses, So that was tedious only because, it's expensive, but it's also like you want to get a trustworthy company to make sure nothing breaks. And like, I don't know, I have a lot of breakable stuff. So that was hard. But I think just overall, the adjustment it's been like fine, but I'm also like doing a lot of deep thinking right now about like where I'm meant to be, I guess, right now. And like, I think New York for a long time, I was like, this is my end all be all, and I can't see myself anywhere else. And then like, I hit a point where I was like, wait a second, I don't know if I'm extremely happy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it takes some like, it's annoying because it's like, oh, like I shouldn't be complaining. Like I live a great life. I live a life that a lot of people watch online and are like, this is like, Katy is New York City. And then I like convince myself, oh, you know, I'm happy, right? Like I'm definitely happy. Everyone on YouTube says I'm happy. Everyone on Instagram says I'm happy, says New York is the thing for me. So like, why do I not feel that way about myself? Like, why do I even like have this feeling? And so I felt kind of guilty about it for a little bit, like especially the beginning of quarantine. And, you know, I was kind of dreading going back to my apartment in New York. I'm like, why do I feel like this? This is weird. So I did a lot of like deep thinking about it and went on my road trip across country to move my friend Julia out here. And while we were coming out here, I was just like, you know what? I want to do something crazy. Really like throw everyone for a loop, surprise everybody, including myself and my poor parents who are like, what the heck is going on? And I was like, I'm just going to move to LA because like I can. And, you know, I have luckily the privilege to do so. And I've worked hard. And I feel like I kind of, you know, at this age, there's a pressure to figure it all out. And what if I don't know it all? Because I don't, like, why don't I do something that will teach myself something? And, you know, New York and LA could not possibly be more different. So it's kind of a good chance for me to figure out what I care about and what I like. So yeah, but overall moving has been crazy during a pandemic. I would not say I recommend it, but it pays off.
We just have so much to say. Like,
Yeah.
no, but like, I just like couldn't believe it because like your whole brand is New York. Like it literally says on your podcast, like New York City. Like I thought of you as like Carrie Bradshaw. Like so I don't know. I just think it's so cool that like you could just pick up your stuff and move, and then like you made this whole new life for yourself, and you just like I like see it on social media. Like I see that you're happier, and like I see that you just feel like a better person, like just going for walks on the beach and just like hanging out with friends, like you're not alone anymore. It just seems like you're really doing great, and I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I am happy. Yeah. I feel like for a while I was like, I need to convince people I'm happy, but like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I can just
Well,
be
no.
happy and that's enough.
Because like I know that you said it like in your episode where you explained like why you moved, like that people were like kind of judging you. Like, how did you deal with that?
I mean, it sucks when you're going through like personal turmoil and like that's enough to deal with, but then having people question why you're doing something is like, oh, come on, guys, let me live. Like, I'm not going to have an answer for everything. Or like, I felt this pressure to have a reason why I chose LA over anywhere else. Like, why? And I didn't really have a reason. I was just like, it felt right. Like, it feels right being a block from the ocean. It feels right being with two people that I really like and, you know, live well with. It just feels right. There's no, it wasn't that I didn't like, you know, living alone in New York, or like there isn't any bad blood for New York. Like I could honestly, like, who knows, give me 3 years, I could be back and that's fine. Like, it won't be that I failed out here. And like me coming out here didn't mean that I failed in New York. It just meant that I realized it wasn't for me anymore. And I somehow mustered up the courage to get myself in a better spot. You know, there's so many people that are really unhappy with their lives and are so quick to vent and say, I'm so unhappy. Like, this sucks. Like, you know, this person is doing so much better than me, whatever, but doesn't do anything about it. Like, you can be unhappy, and like a lot of people are, but like get yourself out of that situation the best you can, even if you can't financially afford to move. Like, I don't know, get somehow redecorate. I don't know, find some new people to surround yourself with social distancing involved, or like, you know, like you can, even if you don't have like the extreme means to move across the country, you can get yourself into a better situation to make yourself happier. And like, it takes courage to do that. But when you do, you realize like, wow, I'm so happy that I like did that. Like, I would be sitting in my apartment right now, my 600 square foot West Village apartment in New York, sweating, probably pretty sad if I wasn't, you know, didn't go through through all the effort to get myself out here. So it's all a learning experience. And like, I think that something that people need to know is you can constantly reinvent yourself. Like I was the New York Carrie Bradshaw person, and I think I maybe still am a little bit. I'm not like changing myself altogether, but it's really important and good for growth to constantly reinvent yourself. Like look at Miley Cyrus. I mean, his definition of, and like, does she care what anyone says? Absolutely not. But like she continues to put her art out there and like give people what she has to offer. And like that, I take a lot of inspiration from her, honestly, because like, you know, no one, you don't have to be what people say you are. Like that's so limiting. So
I know, like I just thought it was like like the whole move itself was so inspirational because I mean like I'm the kind of person that like it takes me a lot to even do anything for myself ever. Like she'll make fun of me a lot that like it'll be like it'll be like the stupidest thing, like a shirt, and I'm like, oh, I can't like justify it, like whatever. But just seeing you like be like, oh yeah, I'm just going because I want to. And I was like, oh, whoa. Like it was just really cool getting to see that. And like, I don't know, like the whole argument that like, obviously it was shocking that like you moved to LA, but like, I feel like it's more like what you've brought to these places. Like you like have such a like a romantic way of like looking at your own life that like it made like New York this whole like vintage feel with you, and then now you're out here doing the same thing like in LA, and I'm like, oh damn, like do I have to move to LA now? Like
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to change who I am. I feel like, yeah, my friend actually was looking at my room the other day. She came over for the first time and like saw my room. She goes, Katy, like this looks like your New York room, but like a little different, like different stuff, but the same vibe, the same feeling. And I'm like, yes, because I am the same person. I'm just in a different place, you know, growing up, evolving, but I'm like at the core of it, like I've never changed. Even when I was in like North Carolina in college, like I still feel like I've always kind of romanticized my life in a way, like made my surroundings pretty, even if it's like as simple as like, I don't know, like this picture behind me. Like, you know, it's just like you got to kind of romanticize your life a little bit because no one else is really going to do it for you. So
I just think of those TikToks. I mean, I don't even have TikTok, but I just think of those TikToks where it's like, you have to romanticize your life. And
yes, that like audio. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I feel like that's how you like actually live your life, like not even like as a trend. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have kind of like a deeper question. I mean, like it's definitely gonna get lighter with like the listener questions and everything. But like I've watched you on YouTube for a while, and I remember you uploading a video like a while ago about when you were bullied in high school. And I was wondering like how that's affected, like how you think that's affected you, like in just like in like the grand scheme of things.
Oh gosh, it's really affected me. I like try to escape it and I never can, just like in terms of how I am as a person, because it, you know, it was traumatic, and you know, trauma affects you throughout your whole life in little ways. I find that, you know, it has made me a little bit more empathetic though. Like there are some positives, of course. Like it has made me more empathetic. Like when anyone reacts in any sort of way that I'm just like, what the heck? Like that's a little crazy. I have to remember like they've probably, I mean, they have had a whole life that I don't know anything about, a whole childhood I know nothing about. And people are really affected by how they are treated in childhood. And, you know, that is when you're still kind of growing up and you take a lot of that to heart. So I was really bullied in middle school and high school. And I was bullied not only for like how I looked and how I acted and things, but also for my YouTube channel, which was a huge part of where I am now, a huge reason, you know, to why I'm my own boss and how I can manage this life. And so it was really hard. It was a hard choice for me to choose YouTube and choose the thing that was making me, you know, get bullied at school. So, but I do think it, you know, overall it has paid off for me. I think I would never wish bullying on anybody. I think it's the worst. I think it's, you know, usually the people that are bullied are the bullies, and it just is a never ending cycle. And it's something that I don't think will ever end, especially for kids, especially as we're going into, you know, the TikTok years. And like, I'm terrified for my future children, but I do think that, you'll notice a lot of the most successful people online and a lot of celebrities have a history of being bullied. It honestly makes you a stronger person because especially if you know everything there is to tear you down, it's like you already know what the stones are they're going to be throwing at you for your whole life basically. Like I knew growing up like there were certain things, and I think as I've, when there's that quote like if you know like your flaws, if you're aware of quote your flaws, like no one can use them against you because you already know. And like not that you should be considering your whole life like here's everything wrong with me, but like I feel like to a certain extent when people bully you, people online still are DMing me crazy stuff every day. I'm still seeing stuff like that. It honestly makes me stronger because I know in my heart that I have good intentions with what I do, and I know that I'm a good person. I don't need to spend my life proving to other people that I'm a good person. So I don't know. Bullying has shaped me as a person. If I could go back and make it not happen, maybe I would. I don't know. Like it's not something anyone should have to go through, but it definitely did shape me into who I am.
So a little more optimistic. What long-term goals do you have for the future?
Ooh, well, I'm actually putting out my first line of products this year, which I am very excited about. I have always wanted to do merch, but I wanted to do it in the right way because I just feel like so many awesome creators out there already have like t-shirts and sweatshirts and all that. And I've like purchased them. Like I love everyone's that has ever come out with them. But I found that like for me and for my, platform, I wanted to do something a little different. So I've been working on developing glassware and journals, planning materials, just like desk supplies, things that I geek out over. I have used my hand lettering and like my design expertise to create my own stuff. So I'm making martini glasses, wine glasses, shot glasses, like prints and all these things. So that's coming out later this year. And that's like been a very big goal of mine for a while that I'm like finally seeing come into fruition. And then I guess other goals, I was talking to a friend about this yesterday. Before I'm 40, I want to have a book published. I don't know what about. Probably fiction, but I don't know. Those are some long-term goals. But for the most part, I'm just kind of focusing on my own personal happiness because like I feel like I've put that on the back burner a lot in my career. So that too.
I feel like you could also just do like a visual book. Like I just thought of this right now.
Ooh, yeah.
You could pick like your favorite designs like over your career and do like a coffee table book. Like I would buy that in a hot second. Like I would love that.
Ooh, I like that idea. Okay. I'm going to mental note.
Like whether it's like script or like, cause your calligraphy is gorgeous, but like also like just your drawings in general. Like I feel like that would be so cool to do. So awesome. Kind of like a Carrie Bradshaw-esque, like.
Oh yeah, when she like puts
all her articles.
Yeah. Okay. I'll definitely put that into the works before I'm 40. I got some time.
Yeah.
I got some time.
A little time.
Yeah. But like you obviously saw, we asked all of like the listeners for questions and we got so many good ones. So we picked a few and we wanted to ask them. So the first question that we have is, what advice do you have for making new friends in a new city in your 20s?
That's a great question. COVID definitely complicates things in my answer, but before everything was happening, and even now, I think you can definitely accomplish this. My biggest tip is, finding people on social media who are similar to you. For me, it was like finding other graphic designers or, if you have a certain passion, it's really easy to find people from hashtags or just like searching or asking your friends and just literally slide in their DMs and say, hey, do you want to get coffee? Or like, I really love your work. And coming across not so much like you want something from them, but just like you want to meet like-minded people. I found very few times people will say no or like just not read your message or something. But like if you find other creatives, like everyone wants to expand their network. Everyone wants to have more friends in their city. And so it was really nice when I was in New York, just like I got like dinner with a different graphic designer like twice a week. Like it was really great and like so good for my career because I was also learning new things. And, whenever I, didn't have enough time for a certain client, like I would pass them off to my friend or like, it was just a really great network and we became friends and would like get drinks and hang out on the weekends. And like, I think that's honestly like sliding in people's DMs is the way to do it these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good answer.
Also, I just thought of this right now and I have to ask you before I forget. Cheeseboard. I think
My passion.
I think you should make your own cheese board, like design your own cheese board.
Ooh,
really cool. Meg, you're really
like the actual board. Oh my God. I'm writing this down.
Okay.
And that's a great idea.
No, and like I just want to know like what, because like I know you made like in your vlog, like your LA vlog, like you talked about like making the cheese board, but like for our listeners who might not know, like what are some tips you have for cheese boards?
Oh my God, my favorite thing. This has like been my passion project over quarantine, like something I never used to do before. And I was like, I've now decided it's my new passion. So my tips, I like a circular board, like a circular cheese board, because I find that it's easy to like kind of form it, but it's also just like a really aesthetically pleasing look. Have a circular board and just put everything around it. I also find like for me, my typical aesthetic is just like involving as many colors as possible. Like when you're picking out things, think of the colors. Like, of course, the taste, that's important, but like also consider the colors, because it's like just amazing having like a rainbow explosion on your board. And I leave like no space unfilled. Like every space is filled by something. So either like you scatter in like nuts or berries or something in like the little spaces. And I always start with the cheese and then put everything else around. Like I start with the cheese, I slice the cheese or get it ready to be, for the soft cheeses, get it ready. So it's like ready to go in. And then I fill in everything else around it. So those are my like fast tips on charcuterie boards.
That was fascinating.
Top 3 favorite cheeses, go.
Ooh, top 3. Okay. Brie, like a goat's milk brie, manchego, belvetano. Those 2 are hard cheeses.
I love those cheeses.
So good.
You guys can talk about this because I'm not.
This is so embarrassing. You should keep this to yourself.
I know. I probably shouldn't tell you, but I don't really like cheese that much. Just like in general. I wish you guys right now.
I honestly probably should like it less than I do because my stomach hates me.
Okay,
every
so
time.
Me.
But so good.
No, so like we were like friends before we like moved in together. Like we met in college and like we kind of both just like needed a new apartment. So we were like, hey, like let's move in together. And then I found out after we signed the lease that she didn't like cheese. And
oh my God, it was too late for you to reconsider.
I know. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, do I like break the lease? Like, I don't know.
Like I can totally appreciate the art of them, but I do like manchego.
Oh, manchego's fire. Yeah.
It's really good. It's an easy cheese to like.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Oh, I'm like the complete opposite as her though. I love like blue cheese, like gorgonzola, like all this stinky stuff. I'm like,
I love gorgonzola. I love it.
All that stuff.
So, oh my God.
Sorry to gross you out.
We need to change the topic.
I had to talk. I was like the cheese board queen over here.
No, you have to, because even I saw your vlog and I was like, that looks so good, even though I probably wouldn't eat it.
I was like, do I have a cheese board for dinner tonight? Like,
yeah, after watching that.
Yeah, right? Okay, so this is the question I was supposed to ask. How do you deal with what other people think of you?
Oh, it's hard. I feel like there's, people always say just like, don't listen to the haters, don't listen to it. I do listen to it. I can't help it. Like I even said like earlier, during quarantine, like I'm going to stop reading my DMs because people have been extremely critical recently. And I don't do it. I still read the DMs. I feel like to some extent you kind of sometimes want, like, especially if you're feeling kind of low about yourself, you're like, let me just put some salt in the wound and read some DMs or like really make myself feel like, not so great, which is bad, but it's the truth of it. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, just don't listen to the haters. Cause like, you're going to listen to them. Like you're going to listen to them and you can get 1 million positive comments and you get 1 negative one and you won't be able to stop like thinking about the negative one for weeks. And that's just kind of how it is. But you have to kind of, for me, it's weighing the pros and cons of what you do and realizing that there's so much more good that you're doing with what you are putting out there than what people are saying about you. Like what you're doing is good for so many reasons. And you have to remind yourself why what you're doing that people are hating on, or why you are the way you are. And realize, that there's a reason that you get up every morning and do that thing or are that way. It's like you care deeply about that, or you really believe in what you do or who you are, and that like other people's opinions like aren't going to stop you necessarily, and they shouldn't. And you continuing to do what people hate about you like is honestly the biggest slap in the face for these people. Like they couldn't get through. And I think a lot of, also I just always consider that a lot of people commenting on things I do, or the negative stuff and all those like gossip blogs that exist and things, you know, I just feel like it comes from a place of insecurity on their end. So I have to be a little empathetic and think, okay, this person was probably just in a bad headspace when they wrote this comment. And I just kind of move on. I don't let it rule my life, because you can let it rule your life. I think, cold turkey, not reading your DMs and not reading, like that's impossible, because the guilt, or not the guilt, I just want to know what people are saying. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The curiosity in me, but just don't let it rule your life, I guess, is how I like to say it.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be doing a podcast if I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're obviously,
Right.
we're like so tiny that it's like, we haven't gotten that first hate comment yet, or like that first like 1 star in Apple Podcast. Like, I know it's going to come eventually and I'm going to like cry myself to sleep, but this advice will help me.
Right. Yeah. Good. I'm happy to hear it. No, I mean, you just got to remember why you started. That's what I always tell myself. Like, remember why I started my YouTube channel. Why did I start my podcast? Like, this thing that people tend to like hate on for stupid reasons. Like, remember why you started, and it really confirms why you do what you do. And then you're like, oh, the haters don't matter.
Exactly.
Couldn't have said it better. Next question. This is kind of a quick one, but somebody asked, how did you know you wanted to become a graphic designer?
That's a great one. So back in elementary school, I used to do this thing where I would we had like this agenda book, like planner book that every elementary schooler got. And like, we had to in order to get like brownie points or something, I don't even know what, we had to keep, writing in this planner thing and, have our parents sign it or something like that. We did our homework. Like, I don't know. It was like one of those things. And it was ugly. Okay. Ugly. Even elementary school Katie knew this. 4th grade, I was like, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. So I got out my teenage magazines, like J14 and all those old magazines, Tiger Beat.
Yeah.
Tiger Beat, and I would cut out Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber and all those people, all of the people that were important to me back then. And I would collage the front of my planner, make a collage out of it and use the clear duct tape as a lamination and make it literally, it was my pride and joy. I'd cut out the letters and make it say my name and all this stuff. So and the fact that I cared about that in elementary school, way back when, and I would actually do, so people would come to me and say, wait, can you do it on mine? And I'm like, well, it'll cost you $1.
$1.
So I charged people. Yeah. I would charge people to do their journal or their planner. And it was my little side hustle, and I'd make money for the ice cream man, So I was a graphic designer before I had education, really. And so back then, I always had this kind of entrepreneurial side when it came to my designs, and it kind of carried me through. And in college and in high school, even, I was designing some tattoos with my lettering and stuff. And it became something where I was like, maybe there's a reason people trust me with these sort of things. Maybe I'm good at it. I don't know. So I was studying it towards the end of college. When I first came in, I was a journalism major because I was actually editor-in-chief of my school newspaper in high school. So I was really into journalism. So I started out journalism major, decided I wasn't mean enough for journalism, but I was cut out for graphic design. So I switched my major. And then from there, I was when I was graduating, looking for graphic design jobs. So it really came from just knowing that I appreciate aesthetic. I like fonts. I like, Photoshop and stuff. And it just kind of translated into being a graphic designer. So
that's the cutest story I've ever heard.
You have a little lucrative business in 4th grade. That hustle, love it.
Exposure doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Did you watermark it? No,
could,
she's
probably could like sell them one day.
I know, that's so cute. That would be a cute like concept to like design journals. Like obviously not put like Selena Gomez on it. I mean, like if you're into that, but just do like a collage of stuff. All right, next question. Advice for being single when all your friends are not. Oof.
This is
It's tough. I actually, surprisingly, like all my friends are single right now, but usually when I was in the city before all this madness started happening this year, I was like one of the only single ones in my friend group.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just got to remember the grass is always greener.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always want what you don't have. Your friends in relationships might be jealous that you're single. Like you don't know. You also only see what people a lot of times want you to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if it isn't in the cards for you right now, like there's no need to blame yourself or don't, it's not your fault that you're single. Okay. Like that's what people always think. They're like, oh, you know, if I was thinner or prettier or whatever, like maybe I wouldn't be single right now. And like the reason that I'm single is because of these things. That's not true whatsoever. And also like, for me, I was really, and still am really focused on like my career, my art and like what I do. And you know, I think that there's this tendency to look at being in a relationship like that is like you are cool, you are successful and established if you have a solid relationship that's like going towards marriage. Like, but I have so many other things that I'm so happy and passionate about in my life. Like, why, like, I don't feel incomplete. So I guess it's just kind of growing up and you realize these things. But it's okay though if you feel a little bit sad when you're like, you know, all your friends are texting guys that are their boyfriends or like are in this like cute honeymoon phase with someone. It's normal to compare yourself, especially to your friends and people you respect. But I think just snapping yourself out of it, not letting yourself dwell, not letting yourself think of it as a personal jab. You know, their success is not your failure. I always say that to myself in a lot of different ways. And I don't know, just know that the grass is always greener.
That's great advice, honestly.
I will take that to heart. Another question, we kind of already answered this already, but how do you spark your own creativity and how do you keep them like the momentum up when you're unmotivated?
Right. I definitely just like taking inspiration from other people that are killing it. And maybe I would honestly suggest people that aren't in your own field. So for me, for graphic design, I feel like if I look too much at other people's design, I will kind of copy them by not even know I'm doing it. So I try to, for that, look in other realms for inspiration. So for me, there's this actually, what's it called? Oh no, I don't remember. But on Netflix, there's this like series that's out. It's strictly about design, but it's about like different design, like interior design or like just like other realms of design. And there's like different episodes and they interview experts and people and stuff. And just stumbling across things like that in your given field or whatever you're interested in, but not so much that you could, you know, by accident copy them. I think that's really important. So, you know, even if it's just, honestly, it could be someone that's passionate about something that has no relation to what I do, but just seeing other people that are passionate about what they do talk about their passion really motivates me. And so a lot of that is listening to podcasts. That's super easy. It's like, there's certain people that I love their podcasts because they continuously interview people I've never heard of before, or like, you know, people with specific talents and gifts and things that are nothing like what I do. That keeps me motivated.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Honestly, that's like kind of what I do too, is that like I'll watch people's videos or like listen to podcasts too, but kind of something I forget that like you kind of like feed off of like other people's productivity in a way.
Completely.
Okay, and the last question, what do you miss about living in New York?
The pizza. Oh, I miss the pizza. It's just not cutting it out here. The Italian food, all food. I mean, no, there's good Asian food out here. And like, I'm slowly getting, you know, I'm getting around the block a little bit with food, but I'd say also just how easy it was to get around. Everything, I lived in a great area in New York where everything was super walking distance. I feel like here, there are things walking distance, but the things I really want aren't. Like Target is a little far. But, you know, I overall think that like, I said it before, New York and LA are just like really, you can't compare them because they're so different. And like, there's pros here that are cons there and like vice versa. But I definitely miss the pizza.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you've know where we live. We live in New Haven, Connecticut. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Yes. Yeah. I have some friends that are from Connecticut.
Yeah.
So I know vaguely geography.
Yeah. So there's really good pizza here, but we were just talking the other day, we don't have good Asian food. So there's kind of the pros and
There's
the
a trade-off.
Yeah.
And you have good Mexican food too.
That too. Yes.
Oh.
That is a huge food group I missed. I've already had a few different taco places, enchiladas,
Mexican food's my favorite.
That's my favorite food.
I'm so jealous.
And the margaritas.
The guac, the beans. No, when I went to California, I was literally living with Mexican food.
So you're so right. It's so good. I went to San Diego a few months before COVID and everything, and I had amazing Mexican food there too. So yeah, I can attest the West Coast has good food, but just not pizza. So I've experienced.
Yeah. But that's all the questions we have.
Ooh, we're gonna leave on a pizza note. Okay.
Well, yeah, with Mexican margarita note too.
Yes.
But
yes.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was
no problem. This has been so fun. We had a great talk.
I can't believe we just talked to you.
I know.
That's crazy. We just love your stuff. So it's crazy.
I was trying not to sound like a huge loser in the beginning, but we love your stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well that means a lot. That really does mean a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the episode with Katy. We really hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, honestly, she is the nicest person ever. I mean, we kind of assumed that she would be awesome, but I feel like she exceeded our expectations, and we hope she exceeded yours.
Yeah, I feel like that this was just such a great episode, and I even learned so many things that I didn't know before, and it was so cool getting to hear about all the future endeavors that she has planned and all the future products, and that Meg was even able to give her some future ideas. Maybe Meg will get a little cut.
Yeah, if she comes out with it, I'll be like, where's my bag?
If you guys are looking for a future manager, definitely hit up Meg because she clearly has great ideas. But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Like we said, we hope that you loved it and you meant it. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Love You Mean It Podcast. Feel free to leave a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts, preferably 5 stars. Thank you. Feel free to also donate to the podcast through the support link in the show notes. And I'm pretty sure that's it.
Thanks for listening, guys.
We have a super exciting guest coming up next week, as we do every week. But we will, of course, post kind of a preemptive questions box so that you guys can ask her whatever you'd like. But we will talk to you guys next Monday. Love you, mean it.
Love you, mean it.